Last summer, some of Europe's biggest clubs had the chance to sign Victor Osimhen, but they all said no. Now, Victor Osimhen is making the rest of Europe pay big goals in the Champions League on a mission with Galatasaray.
We want to make a statement in the Champions League. We want to do something extraordinary, to pass a message on to that there's a team in Turkey that can really put up a fight against the big dogs in the Champions League.
Bagging Man of the Match awards consistently and reminding Chelsea,
I can tell you that Chelsea made Victor Osimhen their final offer.
Arsenal
are going to make a shock move for Victor Osimhen.
And Manchester United.
We need Osimhen. We need Osimhen. We need experience. We need someone who knows how to score. We need someone who can come and show these young strikers at Man United how to do it. If I'm Man United, I'm making it happen.
What they turned down. This is the story of how Victor Osimhen turned rejection into field and became a man on a dangerous mission. Right now, Victor Osimhen is right up there with the best strikers in Europe. 18 goals in 26 matches this season. The sample size might seem small, but for that number of games and his goal return, it's huge. 6 assists as of recording this. That's 24 goal contributions across all competitions for Galatasaray this season. But if there's one competition where Osimhen has been particularly impressive, it's the Champions League. He missed the opening Champions League group phase game against Frankfurt due to injury, but as soon as he returned against Liverpool, Osimhen was back with a bang. He scored the only goal of the game to give Galatasaray a famous win against the Reds at Rams Park. Crazy thing is that it wasn't just a goal. In the 72 minutes he played, he was a constant threat to that Liverpool backline. Virgil van Dijk and particularly Ibrahima Konate had no answer to him. 3 shots on target, could have possibly scored more. That was the indicator the rest of Europe should have taken. Osimhen wanted to make the competition his own, particularly with Galatasaray, and that's exactly what he did against Bodo Glimt. 2 goals, a brace in the 3-1 win, his second consecutive Man of the Match award, 3 goals in 2 Champions League games. Osimhen had starred in Galatasaray making history, the first time they'd won back-to-back Champions League games since 2012, and this is where things got interesting. Galatasaray versus Ajax in their next Champions League game. Osimhen didn't just steal the show, he made a statement. 1, 2, 3. Bang, a hat-trick. Only the second Nigerian to score a hat-trick in the Champions League. At the time, he now had 6 goals in just 3 Champions League games for Galatasaray. Now Osimhen had really announced himself, and this was only the beginning. Domestically, he was still setting the pace for Galatasaray, but his next focus was with the Nigerian national team at the African Cup of Nations. It didn't take long for Osimhen to announce himself again. He bagged the goal and an assist in the 3-2 win against Tunisia in the second group stage game. Backed the brace in the round of 16 against Mozambique, but arguably his biggest performance in the competition was in the quarterfinal. Nigeria came up against an Nigerian team that had Zinedine Zidane's son, Lucas Zidane, in goal. Nigeria ended up winning 2-0. Osimhen was directly involved in both goals, the header and the assist for the second. They'd ultimately lose to the hosts and runners of Morocco on penalties in the semi-finals, but Victor Osimhen had more than played his part. 4 goals, the AFCON team of the competition as well, and as soon as he returned, Osimhen picked up from where he left off with Galatasaray. Since returning from AFCON, he scored 8 goals in the 8 league games he's played for Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League, and 4 assists in that same run, including most recently, the winner in a big game. The only goal in the Classic against Besiktas. Galatasaray finished in the playoff spot where they faced Juventus in the Champions League. Another big game for Osimhen, and what happened next shocked everyone. Osimhen didn't just score. Osimhen didn't score in the first leg. And yet, he was somehow the most important player on the pitch. Osimhen was directly involved in all 3 goals with his pressing and ability to win the ball back. Osimhen was directly involved in 3 goals, a constant threat to that backline. 2 assists on the night. Galatasaray won in 5-2, but in the second leg in Turin, they nearly choked on it. Despite playing with a man advantage for much of the second half in that second leg, Galatasaray somehow considered 3 goals to take the game to extra time. It was in danger of becoming a serious bustle job until Victor Osimhen came clutch. His goal was the decider, the one that turned the game around for Galatasaray. They later added second to qualify for the round of 16, and at full time, Osimhen had added another Man of the Match award to his collection. As of recording this, it's 4 Man of the Match awards for Osimhen in the Champions League this season. 4th in the race for the Champions League Golden Boot with 7 goals. Ranks joint first for the most shots on targets in the competition alongside Kylian Mbappe. It's crazy to think about all of this and realize that in the previous summer window, when some of Europe's biggest clubs were desperate for goals, Victor Osimhen became the striker nobody signed. Just before we get into what really happened, if you're enjoying the content so far, be sure to hit that subscribe button to the Football Armageddon for more videos like this. Thanks. So what really happened to Osimhen then? Trying to understand the truth, means separating the lies from it.
Why not Victor? Oh yeah, I need my Nigerians to come front and centre because this man has got it all. The goals, the accolades, the achievements. But he didn't get his move to any of those big clubs in England.
To many, it was about wages and how much Victor Osimhen wanted. Wrong. To this end, it was particularly with Chelsea, a former Blues and Nigerian national team legend explained the situation perfectly.
The nonsense about stupid sums of money.
That's definitely not true. I know what Victor wanted. I know what the club offered him. I know where we got to. We finally got to a compromise. Everybody, both sides had to compromise. Paperwork, medical, and few issues that we just couldn't get over the line.
Okay.
And then, we didn't have much time.
It was simply about little details. To his credit, Osimhen knows his value. He knows what he could bring to a club. It was simply a question of fine margins that were never met, and somehow Chelsea pulled out of the race to sign him. Then there was Manchester United.
Osimhen will come to Man United. If Man United offer to go take Osimhen, he will go.
Again, it was never really just about the finances for Osimhen. The fact is that he rejected the deal from Al Hilal, and so to many like this, Osimhen would have been the perfect solution for Manchester United. This was at the time when United wanted Rasmus Højlund to leave. The talks reportedly continued behind the scenes. Then it picked up. It had become so frenzied that even former United legends were calling for the club to sign Osimhen.
We need Osimhen. We need Osimhen. We need experience. We need someone who knows how to score. We need someone who can come and show these young strikers at Man United how to do it.
In the end, the deal didn't happen. United chose to sign Benjamin Sesko instead. Two of the biggest clubs in English football that Osimhen was linked to, they both said no. And then there was Arsenal.
If you're talking about competition, then Arsenal is the right club if you're picking between those two because Arsenal will be in Champions League. They're competing in the English Premier League.
The Gunners needed the striker. They lost Gabriel Jesus to an ACL injury. Kai Havertz was battling knee problems. Osimhen was available. To many, it was the perfect deal. Arteta would get a striker who had the experience of knowing what it takes to win a league title in Europe's biggest leagues. Arsenal opted to sign Victor Osimhen instead. A hat-trick of rejections from three of the biggest teams in the Premier League. Then the rumor started.
How expensive is Victor, right? And when you weigh it up, I was actually scratching my head in production because I didn't realize how expensive a player like Victor Osimhen will cost.
For some, it was because of the money that Osimhen wanted to get a big payday in Europe. Big joke. He's the same guy who rejected the move from the Saudi Pro League and Al Hilal. Heck, he's the same guy who was so pissed about the thought of going to the Saudi Pro League that when his former teammate Victor Kvaratskhelia agent posted a tweet saying Osimhen was confirmed to go to the Saudi Pro League, Osimhen completely lashed out at him. Rejecting the move to Saudi at that point showed that it was never just about the money for Osimhen. He wanted more. He had unfinished business in Europe. He wanted to be part of the sporting project. And something even more shocking happened. People started to question his attitude, that he had a mentality problem. That even more painfully is the reason he fell out with Napoli. It couldn't be far from the truth. The real reason why Osimhen fell out with Napoli started in the summer, when the club won the Scudetto. Osimhen had more than played his part. He finished as a capocannoniere, the top scorer in Serie A that season with 26 league goals, including scoring the goal in the draw against Udinese that sealed the league title for Napoli. Osimhen had taken Napoli to the league. From a contract standpoint, he had an agreement with President Aurelio De Laurentiis. Osimhen wanted to play for Europe's biggest clubs, but he still loved what he had achieved at Napoli. He even talks about it to this day.
About the club. Then getting to my hotel, there were like a lot of them in my hotel, and because I haven't seen this before. Coming from where I was coming from, I haven't seen this type of the way fans carry their club apart and stuff like that. It was a whole new thing. And then getting to the training ground, I see a lot of them, even in the cold, in the rain, in the...
And so because of that, he agreed to sign a contract extension with Napoli until 2026. But in essence, the deal had a buyout clause that meant Osimhen could leave the club for a fee of 120 million in 2024. It seemed like a win-win for both at the time. Napoli got to keep Osimhen for one more season, and in turn, Osimhen would get his move to a bigger European club the following year. But in the space of weeks, the Napoli Osimhen knew had changed. Head coach Luciano Spalletti was gone. Osimhen didn't particularly get along with the new head coach Rudi Garcia. He looked like a player who was frustrated at the club, but it was still turning in the performances until the real test came, the one that made him completely lose it with the club. TikTok video the official Napoli handle posted after Osimhen's penalty miss sent shockwaves around the rest of Europe. Osimhen himself was so pissed that he threatened to sue the club. Around the world, there was outrage.
Is this appropriate? I don't know if they're going to be able to walk this back. I don't know where that middle ground is, but the fact that you had this player who led you to your first Scudetto in 30 years, and within a couple months, you're now mocking him on social media is ridiculous.
It made no sense. The same guy who won the Serie A last season was the same guy they publicly mocked now. And like that, Osimhen was done. The possibility of returning to Napoli, even after the ejections from the top European clubs, was never an option. But at the same time, it didn't seem like many top clubs wanted him. The likes of Manchester City already had Haaland. Barcelona at the time had Lewandowski. Real Madrid had just signed Kylian Mbappe in the summer. PSG under Luis Enrique didn't need a number 9. They wanted a dynamic system in attack, but Osimhen on his part continued to train. Now the focus had shifted. He didn't just want a club, he wanted a home. And that's when that call came in.
I didn't know that there were a lot of them at the airport at 3 in the morning, you know, expecting me, expecting my family. I was overwhelmed. It was like a movie for me, you know. They went with me to my hotel. They were still down. I was downstairs.
They escorted you from the airport to your hotel.
Went to my hotel.
Galatasaray approached him. The same club his idol Didier Drogba played for in Turkey. But here's the catch. Galatasaray didn't just offer Osimhen a sporting project. They offered him the home he'd been looking for. To him, that was the most important thing. See, many people know Victor Osimhen the player, but very few people know Victor Osimhen the person. This is a guy who's had to deal with rejections and hardship all through his career. Think about how crazy it must be to be the only sibling who never got to see his father die because his club at the time refused to allow him travel to his sickbed. Think about how crazy it must be to go through life without a mother. Think about how crazy it must be to grow through the slums. He grew up in Olusoso in Lagos, a hustler. No boots, no academy. Just the pure desire to win and survive. A guy who knows what it means to lose. It's why the rejections never got to him. Osimhen has lost so much that he can never lose again. That's about winning. Even more importantly, it's about showing the rest of Europe what they missed out on. And that's exactly what he's doing now. His mission with Galatasaray is simple: to shock Europe. In his first season at Galatasaray, he scored 37 goals and made 8 assists to set the record for the most goals scored in a single season by a foreign player in Turkey. He didn't just win the Turkish Super League Golden Boot. Osimhen won the goal of the season as well with a bicycle kick, as well as scoring a brace in the final of the Turkish Super Cup against Trabzonspor. As we're recording this, Osimhen a few months back became the fastest player to hit 50 goals for Galatasaray, doing it in just 59 games. Many would never understand what it's like to be Victor Osimhen. It's why when he wins for the streets. The African Player of the Year in 2023, the Real Player of the Year in 2023, Turkish in the space of just a year, and a man on a mission. More importantly, he's Victor Osimhen. Jaya, Eleshi, Idon. It takes more than just European football to understand. And right now, Osimhen is making sure the continent's biggest clubs remember the mistake they made. So what do you guys think about Victor Osimhen then? Would he have been good enough to play in Europe's big leagues? Let us know in the comments below. And while you're at it, be sure to check out the video on Arsenal and how they are in the hunt to win everything this season.